Hello one, hello all, till end of hopes and fondest dreams. I'm your host Burton, and today we are going to be doing yet another Zelda U theory. So the question we are going to be bringing up today is, what will happen after Zelda U? Now, it's obvious that it's not really something anybody's talking about. For starters, we already don't know anything about Zelda U as it is. So to look ahead that far is a little bit over the top. Still, I feel that if anybody's going to bring up the topic, our channel might as well be the very first. So there you have it. That is what we are going to be doing in this episode. What will happen after Zelda U? And this theory is not without evidence. I can assure you of that. In fact, let us go examine that evidence right now. The first piece of evidence we have on the chopping block today is Ocarina of Time. When Ocarina of Time was released, it became a sensation around the globe, and it made sense that Nintendo would then make a sequel to the game. But to make that sequel, they had an idea up their sleeves. To cut back on the price of the game and the time it was going to take, they reused assets from Ocarina of Time in order to make the sequel. That sequel then became Majora's Mask. And they reused several characters, enemies, and even songs from the original game to make Majora's Mask. Majora's Mask also became a successful game in and of itself. And, unlike other games, they were able to make it only 2 years after Ocarina of Time was released. The next piece of evidence we have to determine what might happen after Zelda U is Twilight Princess. After Twilight Princess was made, which took an incredibly long amount of time to develop, the team didn't want to waste all of the work they put into the game. So, they made a sequel similar to Ocarina of Time, but they didn't make it quite the same. Unlike Majora's Mask, the sequel to Twilight Princess was Link's crossbow training. They reused every single asset to make Link's crossbow training, but unfortunately, it wasn't an actual Zelda game, it was a mini-game of sorts. I personally loved the game. It was fun for the 30 minutes that I had it. Now, this isn't a great example, but it does go to show that Nintendo has always reused assets from older games to make new games. So, what can we gather from the evidence to figure out what will happen after Zelda U? The first option is Twilight Princess. They'll maybe make a minigame or a spin-off featuring the same assets as they used in Zelda U, but it won't be an actual Zelda game. Now, this is unlikely considering how unsuccessful previous attempts at that were, but it's always possible. The second option is that they could do the same thing as Ocarina of Time. They could make an entirely new game, reusing some of the same assets to make the game quicker and cheaper to make. Unfortunately, that doesn't mean it'll happen in Hyrule. In fact, it likely will happen in a different place. Similar to how Ocarina of Time then transferred to Majora's Mask, which happens in Termina, they won't reuse the same realm, because if they were to do that, you would have all of the same places, and the game overall wouldn't be new. It would be the exact same game. But another thing they could do is make several sequels in different areas. For instance, the Oracle games. They could feature more than one area, possibly revisiting old realms and even new realms. And they could each time reuse the same assets, thus making a mini trilogy or quadrilogy or just 2 games. The third option they have is they could do both things. They can make minigames and they can make more sequels using the assets from Zelda U, although I think it's very unlikely they'll go through with that idea. But if either of these options happens to take place, it could be very well possible we will have 2 Zelda games for the NX. The final option is that they possibly could do neither of these things and simply ditch Zelda U after they finish with it. This would be similar to quite a few games, actually. For instance, the original Legend of Zelda, which isn't any surprise, or a more recent example, Skyward Sword. After they finish with Zelda U, one of my hopes is that it'll actually be similar to Mega Man. In the original 6 Mega Man games, they reused the same asset from Mega Man in every single game. Similarly, they could do that with Zelda U, and make 6 games, or more or less, using the exact same assets in each game. That's not too far-fetched, and I believe Nintendo could pull off something like that, although we shouldn't keep our hopes up. Until next time, I'm your host Burton, coming to you live from my basement. See ya! Whoa, 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 where are you going? We haven't even done the credits or anything like that yet. Wait, never mind, we don't have credits, but I can tell you a few things. First off, you should likely subscribe to this channel if you want to see more Zelda theories, Zelda U theories for the most part. And you can also comment telling me what you think they'll do after Zelda U is finished. I love hearing comments, and I will read all of them and probably comment to most of them. Also, if you want to help out the channel by attracting more attention and getting a foothold on YouTube, you can like, which makes me feel better about myself.